The air atop Mount Olympus shimmered with divine light, a realm beyond mortal comprehension where the gods lived in splendor and supremacy. And none among them commanded more reverence and awe than Hera, queen of the gods, daughter of the Titans Cronus and Rhea. She was the goddess of marriage, protector of family and fidelity, a figure of unparalleled strength, wisdom, and resolve. To understand Hera, though, was to unravel the complexities of love, loyalty, and the fire of her fierce spirit. Hera's beauty was legendary, her gaze sharp and luminous like the sun glinting off the ocean at dawn. Her aura was both a comfort and a warning, a reminder of her dual nature. She could nurture or unleash wrath, bestow favor or curse. But Hera's true power was rooted in her loyalty to the ideals she held sacred, especially marriage and family. However, the trials she faced as Zeus's wife would test those ideals and transform her in ways she had never imagined. Zeus, king of the gods, was as charming as he was unfaithful. His gaze wandered often, his affections fickle and fleeting. He admired Hera from the moment he first saw her, captivated by her beauty and spirit. In his desire, he devised a clever ruse. He transformed himself into a shivering, rain-soaked cuckoo, flapping helplessly outside her window during a storm. Hera, touched by the plight of the poor creature, brought it inside and cradled it to her chest to keep it warm. The moment she did, Zeus revealed himself, seizing her in an embrace. Though outraged by his trickery, Hera eventually accepted his proposal, convinced that her love and dedication could tame his wild nature. But as the centuries passed, she found herself at odds with the reality of their union. Zeus was often unfaithful, his liaisons with mortals and nymphs leaving Hera feeling betrayed and humiliated. The queen of the gods, the guardian of marriage, faced a husband who seemed to disregard the very values she held dear. Yet Hera did not withdraw into bitterness. She was a goddess forged by loyalty and strength. Despite Zeus's wandering eye, she stood firm, upholding the sanctity of marriage as an ideal even when her own was fraught with trials. When Zeus's lovers bore children, Hera, in her grief, often sought vengeance upon them. Some mortals and demigods lived in fear of her wrath, for Hera's pain ran deep and her pride was boundless. But over time, Hera began to understand the futility of her anger. She was a goddess of marriage and family, yet her own life seemed a contradiction. Slowly, she redirected her energies, pouring herself into the role of protector, particularly for women and children. If she could not find peace in her own marriage, she would safeguard it for others. Thus, Hera's heart grew softer and wiser, even as her pride burned as bright as ever. While Hera was known for her sternness, her love for her children was boundless. Her eldest son, Mars, was a god of war, a role that many viewed with fear and disdain. But to Hera, he was a cherished child. She saw the misunderstood side of Mars, the god whose fierce heart mirrored her own. She knew the pain of feeling alone among the gods, of having a role that was necessary but unloved. Hebe, the goddess of youth, was her joy and her pride, embodying the purity and innocence that Hera held close. Hephaestus, the god of fire and craftsmanship, was perhaps the source of her greatest sorrow. Born deformed, he had been cast out by Zeus in a fit of rage, and though Hera later welcomed him back, the wound never healed. She loved him fiercely, and in her eyes, his skill and determination were greater gifts than any physical perfection. Hera's love for her children was her most cherished attribute, and she guarded them with the same ferocity with which she ruled. She taught them to be resilient, to uphold their own values, even if it meant standing against those closest to them. And while her methods were sometimes severe, her devotion was unwavering. Hera embodied the idea that love, though often painful, could be unbreakable, transcending all trials. The heavens shook one fateful day when a monstrous creature, Typhon, rose from the depths of Tartarus. Typhon was a beast of unimaginable terror, with hundreds of serpentine heads and a voice that could summon storms. The gods trembled in fear, for Typhon's power was unlike anything they had ever faced. Zeus himself felt fear as Typhon's shadow fell over Olympus, and he rallied the gods for battle. But it was Hera who stood at the forefront, her gaze as unyielding as the mountain itself. She stepped forward, her voice ringing out like a clarion call. "Will you abandon your family, your home?" she challenged. "Will you let this creature tear down everything we have built?" Her words inspired courage in the gods, and together they rose to face the beast. Hera fought with a fervor that none had seen before, her power as fierce as any warrior's. She wielded her authority and her divine energy, calling upon the strength of her role as protector of family to vanquish Typhon alongside her fellow gods. Her courage that day became legendary, and Zeus himself was humbled by her strength. After the battle, Zeus looked upon his queen with newfound respect, recognizing her as his equal in every way. And for a moment, the two were united, standing side by side as true partners, though Hera knew that their peace might be temporary. She accepted that Zeus might never change completely, but her love for him was still a part of her, like a mountain unyielding to the winds of time. Hera's experiences had transformed her, and as centuries passed, she became more than a wife enduring her husband's infidelities or a mother protecting her children. She became a goddess revered for her wisdom, her fairness, and her empathy toward the trials of mortals and gods alike. Her wrath softened, replaced by a wisdom that resonated with those who sought her blessings. As the goddess of marriage and family, Hera found herself advising other gods, guiding them toward unity and mutual respect. She became a figure to whom mortals prayed for courage and strength in their own marriages. Her own trials became the foundation of her wisdom, and her name was spoken with reverence. She would often walk among mortals, disguised in humble garb, to see how they lived and loved. She watched mothers care for their children, wives stand by their husbands, and families endure hardships together. Her heart softened as she realized the strength of the human spirit, and she bestowed blessings upon those who lived with loyalty and love. In time, Hera's legacy would evolve beyond the tales of her wrath. She would be remembered as a goddess who, despite her struggles, upheld the ideals of marriage and family with unwavering dedication. And though her marriage to Zeus would remain tumultuous, she no longer saw it as a burden, but as a path that had shaped her into the goddess she was destined to be. And so, Hera's story became an eternal flame, a reminder of the complexities of love and loyalty. Hers was a journey through trials and pain, yet it brought forth wisdom and strength that touched both gods and mortals. She taught that love is not always perfect, that loyalty is not always easy, and that family, though fraught with trials, is worth defending with every ounce of one's spirit. To the end of time, Hera remained a steadfast queen, her name a whisper on the lips of those seeking courage. For in her, they saw a goddess who embraced her own imperfections and transformed them into strength, a queen who protected her family even when her heart was heavy with sorrow. She was Hera, queen of the gods, goddess of marriage and family, her spirit as enduring as Olympus itself.